the gavel, get their attention.
Y'all, welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for the City of Hendersonville. It's November 13th, 2018. We're going to begin this meeting as we typically do. That's with a prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, helping us with the Pledge of Allegiance and leading us is Gary Hummel and Pack 1322 of the Weeblos 2 Den. We're very appreciative of y'all being here and going to lead us with the pledge in just a few seconds. So if y'all will stand and please join me in prayer, and then we'll be followed with them providing the pledge. So. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for these wonderful opportunities in front of us. Thank you for the wonderful city we live in, the state, and this country. And thank you for your Son. And again, thank you for so much of what you provided us. Continue to help us, continue to guide us, continue to look after those people who protect us, and those people who spend every day with us, and those people that we run across occasionally. Especially look after the folks that tend to run toward danger at a time when danger presents itself to us. We certainly appreciate the courage that you give them and that you give all of us. Help us to do your work and somehow let us show that you are providing us wisdom tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So Gary Hummel and Pack 1322 of the Weeblos 2 Den, could y'all lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all so much. We appreciate you all being here. I entertain a motion to accept our agenda. We have a motion. And I need a second. Alderman Brown's going to second that, and then he's going to offer an amendment.
Yes, sir. Second. And I would like to amend.
Okay. There you go. Chairman Brown.
I would like to amend our agenda by adding resolution 2018-60, a resolution authorizing transferring the $1.4 million from the Public Works Department budget to the Fire Hall number 2 project. Would be my first amendment. I have two.
You want to put them both together?
Yeah.
Okay.
My second one would be adding resolution 2018-61, a resolution authorizing a transfer of $40,000 from the fire department budget to the completion of the police barn project.
Okay, so we've got a motion.
Second.
And a second. So should we make those resolution 1860, item K, and resolution 1861, item L? We've got an appropriate motion, a second. Alderman Frost, do you want to speak on this motion?
Please, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, not the motion. No, I just wanted to add something to the committee reports, please, sir.
Okay.
At your convenience.
Gotcha. Okay. All in favor of adding those two items to our agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Alderman Frost?
Thank you. I'd like to add item G under committee reports, report from management review, please, sir.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor of adding under committee reports item G from the Management Review Committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Any other items that, any other proposed amendments to our agenda? All those in favor of All those in favor of accepting our agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Appreciate that. So now we have an amended agenda, and I think you have all those items in front of you. One thing I failed to mention just as we got started, that Jenny Frisbee, Paul Frisbee's mother-in-law, she should have been included in my prayers. Please do me a favor and include her in your prayers. I apologize, Paul, did I? Stepmother. I apologize that I forgot that just a second ago. So, okay. So we have an agenda. Next we have presentations, which we have none. Public hearings, we have none. I'll entertain a motion to approve our October 23, 2018 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from October 23, 2018, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next we have citizens' comments. Ron Blanton, William Shide Drive.
Good afternoon, or evening, I should say. My name is Ron Blanton. I reside at 103 William Shide Drive. I'm here to talk to you about a couple of things that I'm sure most of you have heard to ad nauseum, and that is the deer population on the Indian Lake Peninsula. And I come to you tonight from a personal standpoint, quality of life. And any one time you can find at least 35 deer running through my yard on a daily basis. So anybody that says there's 35 deer in the city of Hendersonville has severely miscounted. My lovely wife Susan loves to garden, but that's impossible now. Everything that we plant is eaten. I have a picture on my phone from September 24th where I have a 6-point buck looking in my kitchen window. They come all the way down. There's nothing we can do to deter these pests. They have become a true pest. They're beautiful, but they're a pest. They're causing erosion. You come look in my backyard, we can't plant anything, so everything drains away. I've recently had a bout with, I'm one of lucky 20,000 people in the United States that had to battle with Rocky Mountain spotted fever that's caused by deer ticks in my backyard. They're also a hazard. This year alone, I had a herd of deer as I was leaving for work run out in front of me. I hit a brick wall that caused almost $4,000 worth of damage to my vehicle. Something needs to be done. You can't, if you don't do anything, it's just going to get worse. I have body parts drug in my yard from deer that die because they're malnourished. They have no place to go. I have hip bones in my garage. I have legs. I have cages of ribs in my front yard. Something, and I'm asking this Board of Aldermen to take some action. Do something. Not doing anything is not going to solve the problem. The second thing I want to bring to your attention is I don't understand how we can take $1 million from paving our roads, which are atrocious. And I tell you this because, again, on my way to work earlier this year, I come down Maple Drive, come down the big hill, and what happens? I hit a pothole. I had a pothole so big it ruptured my tire and it broke a chrome rim on my vehicle. That's almost $1,000 worth of damage. Why? I mean, we live in a wonderful city. Wouldn't trade it for anything. But why are we moving money out of paving? I've lived in this city 20 years. I live on Williamshire Drive. Do you know my road has not been paved one time in 20 years? Not once. I've had some patching done, but the road has not been paved in 20 years. You drive from my house at Williamshire up to the corner of Maple and 31. You can't do it without boom, boom, boom. I don't care how good your suspension is. It's atrocious. So I would encourage you, before you vote to move any money out of paving, you see if you've got anywhere else to get it from.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Blanton, thank you so much. Jason DiStefano, Center Point Road. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and Aldermen, for the opportunity to speak. I'll be brief. My name is Jason DiStefano, and I'm the founder of Green Village Recycling, a locally owned Hendersonville-based curbside recycling company. We have been providing curbside recycling for businesses and residents in Hendersonville since 2011. And a recycling drop-off center was opened in 2014 on Center Point Road. Now, I've been attending several Boma meetings over the past year, and I've been surprised at the amount of rezoning and planning that has been required to address the growth of homes, subdivisions, and businesses in the area. Planning for infrastructure like schools, roads, water, sewage, they've taken a priority, and that's understandable. Middle Tennessee obviously is going through an explosive growth and will probably continue to for quite some time to come. But as an owner of a recycling company, I keep thinking and I keep asking, what is Hendersonville doing? What is Sumner County doing to work towards a plan for solid waste and a plan for recycling for the next 10 years to 20 years? Unfortunately, the purpose of my attendance today is to announce the closing of our drop-off facility at the end of this month. I also wanted you to know how much Green Village Recycling has done over the years to support recycling initiatives in Hendersonville. We started the business in 2011. We opened up a curbside drop-off facility in 2014. We assisted in waste reduction grant proposals with the city in 2015, and we provided a turnkey plan for a pilot program in 2017. No other local company has done more to promote and support recycling for the city of Hendersonville in the history of the city. However, Green Village Recycling was never awarded any grants. We didn't receive the pilot program that we brought to the city, and no funding has ever been provided to the drop-off facility on Center Point Road. I stood here 1 year ago in November to announce the closing in 2017, and I was told by the Public Works Director after that that we would review options for 2018. We did review the options, and it was 1 day for the Christmas gift wrap collection of recyclable materials in 2018, in January, and that was it, 1 day. We've been operating the entire year, and so I'm here to let you know that as a result of the challenges that we face providing a service for the city that is a drop-off location, our last date of operation for the drop-off will be November 28th, 2018. We will accept electronics by appointment, and we will continue our curbside business. I ask that you please have Public Works remove the 3 recycling center signs on Gallatin Road and Center Point Road. Those signs will be misleading people in the future. Green Village cannot provide a service to the city without any funding, without any support to operate and handle the volume of material on a weekly basis. Our 2017 annual report to the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, we recycled 470 tons of material from Hendersonville, 940,000 pounds of diverted material, which equates to about $15,000 in annual savings. Now, that may not be a lot of money to everybody, but it's a lot of money to me, and it's probably enough money to have considered supporting a drop-off facility. Sumner County and Hendersonville have received thousands of dollars in previous years' state support in recycling rebates and initiatives. Those funds go to the Resource Authority in Gallatin, Tennessee. Hendersonville has saved thousands of dollars in tipping fees and in recycling diversion, yet no support for our drop-off facility. So starting in December 2018, Hendersonville residents will need to consider taking their material to the Resource Authority in Gallatin, and they're welcome to sign up for curbside recycling. I want to thank the residents of Hendersonville and the businesses of Hendersonville for supporting our efforts collectively for a sustainable future. And I wish the best of luck to the city of Hendersonville in your future plans for recycling. Thank you.
Jason, thank you. Mary Burns, Roberta Drive. Ms. Burns, 5 minutes.
Thank you kindly. Well, the election's over, and I'd like to say congratulations. We're all happy that it's over with. But for those that are not happy about the election, what I'd like to say is, Mian Hamdida, Na Kinkla, Jakatit, Haku, which means let's don't get our panties in a pinch and burn them in a fire. We've got work to do. Listen to what that man just said. We've now lost our ability to take all of those cardboard boxes that we cannot put into, shame on Hendersonville, you know, and I really mean it. Only one division has put forth a nomination for the committee that y'all agreed that we need so that we can have the ability to stop spending $750,000 to bury our recyclables. That is, I'm sorry, I'm getting upset. Yes, I'm very passionate on this issue, but that's our money, and you're spending it to bury our recyclables. I don't know what you plan on being able to do next year, but by gory, I think we need recycling, and we need it now. Now that I didn't know he was going to be here, and I had no idea I was going to lose the ability to take my cardboard wastes, which is bigger than the amount that I can handle, to a facility. Now I'm going to be taking it clear to Gallatin. Shame on you. I do a lot for this city. I care a lot. I'm one of the customers that pays out of my pocket over $200 a year for curbside service to recycle because it's the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do, and you all know it. Now, I'd like to know why the other aldermen haven't come forth. You created the committee. You even did a second reading on it. Why have you not come forward with a name of somebody to work with me? I got my name put in there, and I'm assuming I'll be appointed. But y'all have people that need to be here and be telling you, maybe not as forceful as me, but I'm really getting upset. I've waited patiently, and it's been committed. It's time to stop burning your panties in a pit and get this job done. Thank you very much.
Ms. Burns, thank you. We're going to have a motion from Alderman Steve Brown to add something to the agenda, and at this point, it takes a 2/3 vote to do that. Alderman Brown, do you want to make that motion and explain it?
I will make the motion, I owe Alderman Woodcock an apology. We discussed this in public safety, and all three of us on the committee agreed to do this. This is a resolution to the Tennessee General Assembly requesting legislation to address issues regarding blasting.
Oh, you're right.
Blasting.
I'm sorry, Steve, hold on one second. I'm sorry. I'm trying to write and
Let me
speak.
say all that again.
That'd be good.
A resolution to the Tennessee General Assembly requesting legislation to address issues regarding blasting. Alderman Woodcock got with Chief Bush and got some bullet points from our fire department, 5 of them specifically, that we, I think as a city, we can speak as a city, would like to see addressed with some blasting issues that we have, and put it in form of a resolution. It was discussed tonight and passed, and I apologize for not getting it out till now. Just got by me. But I would urge you to add this so we can discuss it. This resolution is important because the legislative branch of the state of Tennessee is meeting tomorrow on this particular issue. And this does nothing more than basically show that we are concerned as a citizenry about blasting in our city. So, thank you.
So we have a motion to add Resolution 18-58, it would to be item M. And a second. Hold on one second. Alderman Woodcock, may I have a second? Is this our only copy?
That's it. That's all I've got.
Okay, hold on one second. So we have a motion, a second, to add this to the agenda. It requires a 2/3 vote. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor of adding this to the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. So now we have an agenda under ordinance and resolutions. This is going to be item M, Resolution 18-58. If y'all could give me 1 second. Can you help us, Rod? Thank you.
Rod, make copies. Really does anything here.
We have our best folks working on that, and hopefully we'll get that back before we get to item M. I feel pretty confident that we will. We have committee reports. Chairman Cunningham, Finance Committee.
No report this week, Mayor.
Okay. Chairman Sprouse, General Committee.
Yes, Mayor. The General Committee will be meeting next on the second Tuesday of December, and if I could please, if you'll allow me, I think one of the things that's discussed previously in this meeting is something that's come through General Committee originally, having to deal with government operations. I think a lot of people don't recognize one thing that we all know, which is you do not see appointments prior to an election, through the election, and until the seating of the new board. So we're actually under a freeze right now of making any nominations and any appointments or reappointments to any city committee. And that's it. Thank you.
There are some exceptions to that, and if you all have any questions about that, feel free to contact Kay. So I appreciate that. Chairman Brown, Capital Safety.
We met tonight. We approved the minutes from the September 11th meeting. We had also approved our minutes from our October the 9th meeting, special call meeting. We had a presentation by Mr. Chip Heisler on citizen engagement program, of how to engage our citizens with our fire department, police department specifically, possibly our parks department, in giving information in a simple form. There'll be more to that to come later. Resolution 2018-58 was a resolution to the General Assembly requesting the addressing issues with blasting. We just added that to the agenda. Resolution 59, a resolution to declare equipment owned by the city of surplus property and directing disposal same thereof. Discussion regarding asset transfer to the Parks Department of a 1998 Freightliner FL-80 fire engine. We discussed that and decided that that would be a good thing to do, so we're moving that to the Parks Department, and we're going to ask that there, in little black letters on the bottom door, you put Parks Director Andy Gillies' private vehicle. So somebody should laugh at that. Hobsbawm. Okay, good.
A lot of space out here.
A lot of space tonight. That's good. We had a discussion regarding tasers. We're going to continue to look at between now and next meeting on how to replace some tasers that we have in our PD. We also had Resolution 2018-60, which I asked you to add a while ago, and Resolution 2018-61, which was also added to our agenda a while ago. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Brown. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works Committee.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We are scheduled to meet on Thursday, November 15th, which is this Thursday at 4:45, and we're having a special called meeting to go over the lease of Monhaven, where the Arts Council attends, or that's where their place is, and so we're going to be going over some opportunities there, and that's all for a report tonight. Thank you.
Chairman Skidmore, thank you. Chairman Campbell, Capital Projects.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we've had quite a few meetings in the last few weeks, going back to October the 18th. We had a meeting, they've all concerned Fire Hall number 2. There seems to be a lot of discussion about that, and how to fund the shortage that we are within our budgeted funds for that particular project. We rescheduled a meeting for October the 22nd to come back and have a better detailed meeting to discuss financing of that project after having discussions with Ron Minix, our finance chairman, or finance director, and also our finance committee chairman, to do some investigation into that for us, at which time we had to cancel that meeting due to it not being in everyone's itinerary properly. So we come back yesterday and had our, November the 8th, pardon me, we had a meeting on November the 8th scheduled that was canceled. Then we came back yesterday, November the 12th, and actually had the meeting to discuss options for Fire Hall number 2 and financing, or what might be the best way to proceed with that. And after a little bit of a discussion, we come up with the best way to do that moving forward would be to move the money from supplemental paving to finish out the, so we could sign the contract for Fire Hall number 2 this year. And that's what we discussed at our meeting, and that's my report, sir. Thank you.
Chairman Campbell, thank you. Alderman Petrelli, Planning Commission.
Yes, the Planning Commission will be meeting on Tuesday, November 20th at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Management Review Committee, Chairman Frost.
Thank you, Mayor. Management Review met on October 30th at 5:30 p.m. concerning the issue between the Mayor's office and Public Works Director, Mr. Moore. Management Review, through discussion, decided to put a letter into Mr. Moore's personnel file that he would meet and exceed the standards set forth on his review, retroactive reinstate his 2.5 pay increase to his anniversary date of September, and put a letter of confidence for Mr. Moore from the committee, and we adjourned at 8:15 that evening, and that was it. Thank you.
Chairman Frost, thank you. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2018-41. This is an ordinance amending our fiscal year 19 budget ordinance, which was ordinance 2018-22, and accepting a State of Tennessee Department of Transportation Tennessee Highway Safety Grant in the amount of $20,000 for the Hendersonville Police Department. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
We have a motion, a second. Alderman Brown, do you wish to speak on it?
No, sir.
All those in favor of accepting second reading of ordinance 2018-41, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2018-42. This is an ordinance amending our fiscal year 2019 budget ordinance 2018-22 and accepting a firehouse sub public safety grant in the amount of $19,933.75 for the Hendersonville Police Department. I'm going to say that again. That is a grant from Firehouse Subs. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2018-43. This is an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 7, Chapter 2, which is our fire code. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
A motion is second. All those in favor of ordinance 2018-43, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2018-44. This is an ordinance amending the Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 7, our fire code. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of ordinance 2018-44, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously on second reading. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2018-48. This is an ordinance appropriating $10,000 donation from the Hendersonville Rotary Foundation. Alderman Cunningham, Frost, or Petrelli?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
and a second. And again, this is a contribution from the Hendersonville Rotary Foundation toward Mary's Magical Place. All those in favor of ordinance 2018-48, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-40. This is an ordinance amending budget ordinance 2018-22 by appropriating $100,000 for the Country Hills Golf Course. I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor of accepting first reading of ordinance 2018-40, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. We have a no from Alderman Woodcock and Alderman Waters. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Did we catch everybody? Appreciate that. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-45. This is an ordinance accepting federal grant and amending budget ordinance 2018-22 by appropriating $7,410 for bulletproof vests for the police department. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Alderman Stamper.
I was gonna speak on the last one, but that ship sailed, so take me out of the queue.
Okay. Okay. I'll make sure to get you next time. I apologize that we moved so quickly on that. You speak on this one? No. Okay. Gotcha. All those in favor of accepting first reading of ordinance 2018-45, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Next, we have first reading of ordinance, that passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2018-49. This is an ordinance directing the placement of stop signs in Winbrook subdivision. Alderman Woodcock.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Alderman Woodcock, do you wish to speak on this?
No.
Okay. All those in favor of first reading of 2018-49, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no.
No.
Let's call the roll.
Vote.
Yes.
Brown.
No.
Campbell.
No.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Fritzby.
Yes.
Frost.
Yes.
Petrelli.
No.
Skidmore.
No.
Sprouse. Stamper.
No.
Waters.
No.
Woodcock.
Yes.
Clary.
Yes. That fails 6-7. Next, we have resolution 2018-51. This is a resolution to award a bid for the fire hall number 2 to the lowest qualified bidder, Boger Construction. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
A motion and a second. Alderman Stamper.
Thank you. I do want to speak on this. Is this the one where if we pass this, that means we've got to figure out a way to fund it in a further ordinance coming down the road in a few minutes?
Yes.
Alderman Cunningham?
Yes, that's correct.
Alderman Stamper?
Thank you.
Toward that point, I'm going to offer an amendment there. Let me get you on page 37.
37.
So go down to second to last.
Speech and leaving. I didn't know.
Second to last line where it says authorize the mayor to execute a contract for Boger Construction. I'd like to add for $2.2 million. Last night at our capital projects committee, that came up that we have $2.2 million at this point that we have appropriated for that. So also move. That fails for lack of, okay.
I'll second it for discussion.
Alderman Skidmore seconds. Okay, any discussion on that amendment?
Doesn't,
Go ahead, I turned you off for a second there, Alderman Woodcock. Go ahead, Alderman Woodcock.
the only thing that's confusing me is the contract has the amounts in it, correct?
We don't, I'm sorry. Do we have a contract?
Bid.
Well, it says execute a contract, so,
We have a bid receipt. We have a bid.
right, so it's just terminology at this point,
So-
okay.
Well, let me ask that question. Do we have a contract?
We have our standard contract that we use when we award a bid. It would be the same thing. It would incorporate all the bid documents that have previously been submitted to the city. This would authorize the mayor to sign that agreement.
For authorizing me to sign it for how much?
Whatever the bid was, Chip, Mr. Moore.
The bid was 3.6.
Can I, when is that contract going to be available?
Yes. I would suggest that we transfer, if we're going to transfer the money, let's do that first.
Yes.
Because we can't authorize the mayor to sign a contract without the project being funded. So I'm not sure how we got in the order we got in, but we need to vote on that other resolution first, to transfer the money.
I second that.
Let's make a motion to roll this item to the end of the agenda, if that's okay. And so we know we will have dealt with the other one. So we have a motion to,
Defer to the end of the
yeah, to defer this to the end of the agenda. Motion from Alderman Sprouse, second from Alderman Frost. Any discussion on moving it? We have several people in the queue. Any discussion on moving it? Alderman Stamper.
I just want to be procedural.
Yeah.
Do we need to have a withdrawal of the second withdrawal of the original motion that was on the table when this came up?
We can defer it without withdrawing those motions.
8 years, and I've still got stuff to learn. Thank you. All right.
Okay, appreciate that. Any other discussion on deferring it? All those in favor of deferring this to past item M, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we're going to go to item J. This is first reading this is the only reading. Yeah, of Resolution 2018-53. This is a resolution authorizing the transfer of $14,335 from Volunteer Park Light Project to Drakes Creek Light Project in the Parks Department. Alderman Frost.
Move.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-53, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have one that we handed out. This is going to be Resolution 18-60. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
Motion and a second. I just want to catch up here. This is a resolution authorizing the transfer of $1.4 million from the Public Works Department budget to the new Fire Hall Number 2 project. Alderman Brown, do you speak?
I do not.
Okay, Alderman Bolt.
Yeah, this question for Chip, if I could. So we'll be transferring $1.4 million from paving to do this. Obviously, there's a fair amount of concern from at least certain people and certain citizens relative to that. We hear a lot about it. And I saw, I hate to do it, but a quote from you in the paper relative to, maybe putting us behind a little bit. Could you explain what kind of an impact that will have, if not just for me, but for the citizens of Hendersonville, what kind of an impact that will have on paving?
No. 2 years ago, pardon me, we had a pavement management program that we implemented, and that was to kind of bring our city up to some areas that we knew we really needed to address and bring an average pavement condition index across the city. So we knew we needed probably about $3 million a year to do that. We were given 2.8 the first year, and we did 10 more miles of road than we thought we were going to initially estimate, which was good. This year, they went from 2.8 to 2.2. So, we weren't going to hit that mark that we probably weren't going to hit that mark that we were going to hope to anyway. But we were going to do everything we could to address the roads as we could most economically and efficiently with the monies that we have. This year, because we were still, you know, when we were developing a lot of things, our stormwater utility wasn't in place. You know, we're way before budget. But we finally started getting that in place. And so what that's going to allow us to do is transfer, we had a line item in our main budget for Public Works called drainage. So everything that we spend on that, we can get with finance and we can recode a lot of those drainage encumbrances to the stormwater utility fee. So we can get that 100,000 back. We'll also, some employees that we've been funding out of the general fund are now going to be funded out of the stormwater utility. So that's going to get us some money back. The other thing I've been talking with the planning department, we're trying to find some other funds. We have CDBG funds. We've used them in the past if we reconstructed some roads that I believe were Savely and in that area. So in the and off of in the western area, we used some of those. It was a Colonial Hepplewhite area. We used some CDBG funds there. So we were going to use some of those for some other projects, but we might realign those to paving. So long story short, we're probably not going to find 1.4 million. We are probably going to be able to come up with another 5, 6, maybe. So it's not going to be the big hit that you're hearing tonight. And so that's, yeah, we're going to be a little behind. I mean, there's no other way to say it. But if you know, we get some things that happen during the course of the year, maybe, you know, sales tax goes up, or we find we're not going to do another project and can shift some monies over, that would be my primary focus as Public Works Director, to say if we're not going to do some projects, let's get that money back into supplemental paving.
Alderman Bolt.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Bolt.
I've got to concur with my colleague in 4. Chip, can you explain to the board if State Street Aid is going to play any part in our paving program? I know there's a lot of people that don't understand where you draw the line on State Street Aid. So would you enlighten the board on that for me?
Oh, yes. State Street Aid, I think we already had $500, almost $600,000 going to maintenance of streets.
Right.
So we are going to be using that amount of State Street Aid. We do have a little bit of a fund balance in there, so it would be up to, you know, the mayor and, you know, finance committee or whatever, how far you want me to draw that fund balance down to. We need to be cautious with that because we do have about $900,000 a year of salaries that have, and benefits and retirement that is paid out of State Street Aid to certain employees at the road department, because that's all they do is work at the road department. So there are a lot of finite things we can do. But again, if we could maybe shift some of the monies that we might have used State Street Aid for from the stormwater utility, where we might have replaced a pipe somewhere and we charged it to something else, we'll be trying to find all those areas.
Okay, now stormwater utilities won't kick in until after the first of the year, right?
It's already being billed out. We will see probably 2/3 or more of that money come the end of December, because that's when most escrow payments are done for folks who have loans. And so that's when we'll see a big amount hit there. But I believe the rest of it's due by the end of February, and you're not going to pave until March if you're lucky.
But we got to be careful when we talk about stormwater, because paving, we draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things we can't do with stormwater funds. Off the top of your head, do you have a ballpark figure of how much money you're going to have after all is said and done left in your budget to pave?
I would probably suggest we may be around 900,000, maybe $1 million.
900,000. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Waters. Alderman Strauss.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to give a little bit of insight, I know this question came up on the previous items, but since we really are discussing the project and how we're going to fund it at the same time, let's talk a little bit about where we are. We have put this out to bid. We put this out to bid a second time. We don't have a contract, but what we have is we have a bid that has been deemed by staff and by the committee to be the winning bid. And we are given a length of time to then come and ratify that contract, to accept the bid. I believe the expiration on this is December 4th. I think it's the first week of December, Chip.
You have 20 days.
Okay, we have 20 days. that guarantee, that helps the vendor to know that the price they give us is going to be good, that we're not going to string that along for 6 months or for a year, and then they can't complete the deal at the price they did. So that's where we are right now. Once we amend this, once we accept this, we accept the bid, the contract is signed. If we do not accept the bid, if we do not award the project, if we do not fund the project, we are essentially rejecting the bids and we start all over again with the bidding process. I'm not saying that that's something we should do or something we shouldn't do. I just want to say that's where we are in the process. It was with funding that. One of the things I want to talk about, and if you heard in Mr. Campbell's committee report, the Capital Projects Committee has been very aggressive in our meeting schedule to look at all the options and very, very open to every possible situation that we have. We've talked about reducing the size of the project. We've talked about bringing funds from other properties. We've talked about what if we rebid it. There's all sorts of things. And I just want to kind of go through the timeline here a little bit. I prayed for patience tonight. I always pray for patience, but I especially prayed for patience tonight. And I'm going to do my best to not stand in the way of a blessing. So please take this in the spirit that it's intended and that of cooperation. On November 18th, the Capital Projects Committee met and started discussing this issue. We had nothing on the table and no information than what was presented to us that night. And in the spirit of interest, I asked the mayor if he had an opinion and an idea on something that was being proposed. Knowing that if you don't like the concept, there's no reason to ask staff to go back and to start doing the research and to come back with the hard numbers to see if it was a viable idea. He said he was not prepared to discuss that, didn't have an opinion. Mr. Brown asked again, and I will say right then that the meeting got kind of combative after that. I appreciate Mr. Campbell for handling an explosive response and the other committee members from being able to handle that. But we decided that we would have a second meeting. That was, the first meeting was on the 18th. We met again on the 22nd to give everyone the opportunity to talk with staff, to get information together, the mayor to get that information together, and we came back on the 22nd. It was a much kinder, calmer meeting. Again, we asked for opinions. The committee expressed opinions, and there was a diversity of opinions. Not every one of us agreed with the best way to go with this. And the mayor was asked for a solution. Or not a solution, but for his opinion. What does he think about this? This is a pretty big deal. This is a pretty big solution. He said he wasn't ready for it yet, but he'd like to talk with his department heads. We said, that's great. That's good. In fact, I actually said in the meeting, Mayor, the only time the committee can discuss this is when we're in these meetings. But you're in this building every day with these department heads, and you can work and help put the pieces together. And I pledge to work together with him and to come up with any idea that he has that I'm ready to consider it. And he agreed. Other committee members all agreed. Next meeting was scheduled for the 8th of this month. The day before the meeting, the chairman, Mr. Campbell, sent all members of the committee, and the mayor just wanted to remind, out of consideration, we're going to open up this meeting with your recommendation. Mayor, your proposal, your ideas. We're happy with that. Mayor's response was he was not available for that meeting. He had a conflict. So we met again last night. Mr. Campbell started the meeting asking the mayor for his ideas, his proposal, even his opinion. He said he would defer to the committee. So the committee went through, had about an hour discussion, and a motion was made. Mrs. Cunningham made a motion. It was seconded before we voted on it, and it's the proposal that's before you tonight. I asked the mayor, now the committee is getting ready to make a recommendation. Do you have a proposal? And he said he still needed to study it. And I said in that meeting that I'm concerned, that we're working very hard to bring everyone to the table on this big issue and to talk about these things, but we're getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And my concern was that because this is a situation that has no good answer, we are judging among a variety of bad solutions. We're trying to pick the least bad of them. And anytime we say yes on this board, but particularly in this situation, anytime we say yes to something, we're saying no to 2, 3, 4, or 5 other things that we could do with that money, or with our time, or with staff. And my concern was that we would come up with this solution, it would be proposed, and then we would be blasted for it. We'd be blasted in an email, we'd be blasted during an election time. I could not even believe that it would be less than a day to read a comment in the newspaper that now the mayor has concerns about this proposal. This board is working as best as we can and working together as well as any board I've been on. And if there is another solution out there, Mayor, please propose it. If you differ with this, talk about it when we're at the table. I don't like where we are. I mean, I could sit here and say, you know, yes, I agreed with you about the Beatty Farm purchase. I didn't want to borrow money for that, and I didn't want to borrow money for the barn, and I definitely wanted to have second reading of the budget. There's a series of decisions that I didn't agree with to get us in this situation, but we're here now. And part of leadership, part of being a grown-up, is to say, okay, now we're going to have to make a decision. We may not like the situation, it may not be one of our choosing, but we need to have that. And I beg again for the 4th time in a public meeting, if you have an idea, if you have an opinion, if you have a proposal, I want to hear it. I want to figure out something. That's my concern. I apologize for taking so long, but I just think that that's something that's very important that folks know where we are in the process and what it's going to take to fix it. Thank you.
I'd like to speak next, but I'll wait. Alderman Brown.
Let me just a second. I just think it's very important right now. I understand emotions on this board. I've been up here 12 years, and we're going to, lucky enough, I guess, to be 4 more. So Mr. Frost to be moving off of it after 24 years, and he's seen a lot of emotions. We've all expressed them, and we certainly don't agree or disagree with each other all the time. And but I really want us to take a look at putting personal stuff aside right now, tonight. It's important that we get a fire hall built, very important. We've got guys living not in a fire hall, and they're living in a building over in Public Works up in an attic, basically. We have administrative offices at the Beatty House that are serving their purpose right now, but it's like a family that's not together. We need to focus on getting that family together somehow. So I just urge everybody to look at the proposal that's before you, moving on with this. Look at the merits of it, the good and the bad. There's not an easy decision here of moving money from one project to a next project, but I think we've probably all done that in our family budgets at one time or another. I know I have. I'm certainly not independently wealthy and have money I can just pull out of a rat hole anytime I want to do it. So I would just urge that. Let's just please look at this on its merits and keep our personal issues out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Brown. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. As I sit here and listen to my colleague in Ward 2, he failed to mention in our meeting last night that he was 20 minutes late. Had he been on time when the committee started, he would have heard the chairman ask the mayor the question. He would have heard the mayor's response. But no, he wants to come in and it's me. It's everything I've heard in the last 10 minutes is I want this, I want that. He can't let it go. I don't know what the problem is, but I'm so tired. And Lord, I pray that our new administration starting next month gets off on a better foot than what I've experienced this year. But some of the people on this board will not let it go. They always got to be critical of the mayor. God, I hope they never get the power. I just sit here and I cringe when I hear some people on this board talk. They can't say anything good about our mayor. I know he makes mistakes. My friend that spoke earlier in Ward 2, he's made plenty of mistakes. But Mayor, I just wish that we would come together and work as a team, quit all this bitter and pointing fingers at one another, and let's start off on a new adventure and forget about the past. I don't know why we have to keep bringing up things like this. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Waters, thank you. Alderman Bolt.
Yeah, I think Alderman Brown specifically maybe shared my sentiments. I think I'd be a little bit remiss in not communicating and not being consistent when I'm brand new. I don't have the same history that some of you have with the mayor, but I do have my own history with the mayor. So he's very familiar with that, as many of you are. So I guess what I'd like to say is when I came on board, I talked about negotiation, I talked about persuasion, I talked about consensus building, and all of us, many of us here are at fault, not just one, not just two, not just three. Many of us are at fault at that. So anywhere we can build that, I think that's very important. Sometimes we look ridiculous here, and I'm not picking on Alderman Sprouse. He's been nothing but helpful and supportive to me, and has helped me along so much. But I don't think it plays well. So wherever we can build consensus, and wherever we can set aside some of the animosity on all sides here, I think we're so much better off. And I think the citizens of Hendersonville specifically, when I talk to my friends, you know, they just want us to move forward. They just want us to pass things. They just want us to go. They don't want to hear this stuff. They don't want us to go to 1:30 in the morning either. They don't understand, you know, what actually happens here. I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying I'd like to see us just move forward. I'd like to set aside some things right now. I think right now the fire hall is a huge issue, speaking to what Alderman Brown said, and I think we just need to deal with that and move forward from here. And, you know, I think it's a very, very difficult situation. That's why I asked Chip to come up here and talk about where the paving issue is. I'm trying to get comfortable with what that looks like relative to, gee, we're not going to have enough money for paving. How much of an effect is that going to be for us? But if we don't build the fire hall, does that take 2 or 3 minutes off somebody's call? So which one is more important? And they're all important to the citizens of Hendersonville, and we're the ones that end up having to figure out which ones are more important right now. So anyway, I'll defer that, and that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Alderman Bolt, thank you. Alderman Stamper.
Thank you. Mayor, I will defer to you if you want to speak on it, if you'll come back to me, if you'd like to go ahead and speak on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought better of that idea.
All right. I do want to just speak to the merits of the proposal that's before me, which is taking money out of paving and putting it in fire hall. The only thing that I'll bring up from the past is because it has a direct bearing on where we're at tonight. This is a bad answer. It may be the best of the bad answers. I don't know. It's a bad answer, but how we get here and how we get ourselves in these positions is a lack of consistency from this board. We're inconsistent. I've been saying it for years on various issues. We do things in 1 week, and then 6 months later we just kind of forget that happened. I'll give you a couple of examples that have a direct bearing on why we're looking at this horrible solution to this problem, which again, it may be the best of the horrible solutions. But how we get here is two issues. Beatty Farm keeps getting brought up. Okay, the reason that I was for Beatty Farm was not because I wanted to spend $3 million, but it was because we as a board voted, and if I recall, it was 13-0, I believe. We said, we're going to set aside $500,000 a year for green space acquisition. Maybe that was a little bit pie in the sky, maybe that wasn't, but regardless, we all agreed that was important to Hendersonville. Got a lot of support from the community when we all agreed $500,000 a year. It's a good amount to spend on green space. Beatty Farm comes along, we get essentially $1 worth of property for 75 cents thanks to the private-public venture. To me, it was a no-brainer. We're going to spend our $500,000 over. We've already committed it for 6 years over that, but at the time there was not a better piece of green space available for 75 cents on the dollar the city could buy. So to me, it was kind of, if this is what we've committed to do, that's where the problem should have occurred. Not whether we should buy Beatty Farm or not buy Beatty Farm. The problem was, should y'all have really voted unanimously to set aside $500,000? That's where the problem occurred. And that's where we lost consistency when we started talking about arguments that were outside of that. But regardless, if I had known also that we would go back on another 13-0 commitment, which was to set aside $5 million in the general fund at the end of FY19. That was voted on 13-0. The chairman of Finance Committee and myself sponsored the resolution, brought to this board. Everybody thought it was good. We all knew what that was going to mean, but we all voted for it. So that didn't show up in the budget. Paving didn't get to $3 million, no matter the different pots that you've got it in. So we don't have $3 million of paving. So we keep getting behind and further behind because we don't show consistency with previous actions this board takes. We all agree to do something, and then we don't do it. That's why I was against the budget. I thought it was a terrible budget for a lot of reasons. The main one was the general fund was woefully short of $5 million. There wasn't $3 million of paving in there. We're not going to get ahead as a city until we make the tough decisions that we know we have to make, that y'all are going to have to make. We're not going to get caught up. We're not going to get ahead. We're going to continue to be bombarded, and different people are going to use it as political tools to bash one another, and that's opened itself up for that because we have been dreadfully inconsistent with our behavior. So we've got to get consistent with our behavior, and we've got to do what we all know we have to do to get us where we need to be, and that's at least $3 million a year in paving and not touching it. So I'm open to other solutions. This one I can't support just on its own merits. I'm not pulling it from paving. I don't know what the other options are. I've heard that. In fact, I haven't heard the other options that came forward. So I'm open to those. But right now, I think this is a terrible solution. If it's the best of the terrible solutions, then that's just another indictment on poor behavior of this board, which I've been a part of for 8 years. So I'm not throwing myself under the bus as part of that. But I will say over the last couple of years, I've been very, very straightforward about the need for us to increase our revenues, the need for us to not borrow for paving. And now I'm going to be here tonight saying I'm not going to vote to pull money from paving for anything. Because that shows a commitment to what I think we need. We're not at $3 million. I didn't vote for the budget. I wish we hadn't voted for this budget. But we did. It's woefully short. So to pull from it now is there's got to be a better answer. I don't know what it is. And I don't like the infighting. I don't like all the stuff we see. We just got through a very, very difficult election emotionally for a lot of people. A lot of issues came up this past year before this board. They were important decisions. I said I promised them I'd never mention the horse barn again, so I'm not going to go there. But that's all I've got, Mayor. I do want to just speak to this. I'm voting no, and I'd like to hear some other options.
Alderman Stamper, thank you. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. This was not a pretty decision. We explored many options in capital projects. One was to cut the funding, not to cut the funding, but to cut the scope of work at the fire hall. Another was to rebid it. And if my memory serves me correctly, because we had to go through this whole process again, the bid increased by, I think it was about $500,000 or $600,000 from the last bid for the same product. But I have something personal in here. This is in Ward 3. And this affects the constituents directly in Ward 3. So it's not a pretty decision, but it's a decision that we came up with collectively in capital projects. We explored every option. It's a business decision. Sometimes you have to make ugly business decisions. But but what I wanted to point out with the paving, we figured we have about $1.6 million in the paving budget, supplemental paving. But we have several other funding streams that we can pull from for paving. So if we take $1.4 million out of the 1.6, we only have $200,000 in supplemental paving left. We also have $539,000 in State Street aid funds to add on to that. In addition to that, we have the new stormwater utility, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chip, stormwater utility, the CBG grant, and other funding sources to make a total of the 200, 539, another 500,000 or so, or maybe a little bit more than that. So we'll have $239,000 left in just for paving. Okay, up until maybe a week or two from now, we can't do any more paving because it's going to be too cold. So we can resume the paving in March, from what I understand from Chip. March, April, May, June, that's 4 months. And in that 4 months' time, we have over $1.2 million to spend. That's over $300,000 a month in paving. And that'll give us a pretty good clip. It's not going to be where we want it to be, like $500,000 or $600,000 a month. But it's hard to spend that on monthly, isn't it, for 4 consecutive months? No? Okay, well. But anyway, I'm satisfied that we're going to be, and then July 1st, at the July 1st time frame, we're going to be able to replenish the paving fund for the balance of what we took out of there for the fire hall. The fire hall is a priority. It's a priority for the people I represent. And I don't want to get emotional about it, but it is. It's Ward 3. That's what serves, and Ward 3 in Mansker Farms, the back part of Mansker Farms has the highest response rate in the whole city. So I will support this, 100%. Maybe it's an ugly decision, but it's a decision that we have to put our big girl and big boy pants on. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Frisbee.
Well, this gets to be my last time to say something, and I never say anything. Usually the real quiet one. 2 weeks from now, someone thinner and much better looking is going to be over here doing this. Yes, this is a Ward 3 issue, but it's twofold. Ward 3 has the worst paving issues in this city, clearly in the old part of town. You know, when you get into my neighborhood around Iris Drive, those streets are awful. They're absolutely hideous. And Chip and I walked the streets and looked. We could see giant holes in the middle of the street that had layer and layer and layer, and nothing holding them together. I've always been a big supporter. Scotty knows that I've always got the firemen's back. I'll back them every single way. It's a tough decision. It's like, okay, I feel like I've got to take money from pediatric cancer patients to be able to fund something else, like in a hospital. There's no win. There's nothing joyous is going to come out of this. So I'm having a hard time with this decision. It's very hard. We need fire hall number 2. We need the paving. And we can pave if the temperature gets right. If we have a nice warm January or even December, we can pave during those times. My wife works for a paving company. They do it all the time. So I do run into this. I think a lot of this stuff stems from a lack of, I dare say it, we've had a serious lack of leadership on this budget. When we pushed the budget through in July and expected to be able to come back and say something and be able to amend it after that due to the situation that was at hand, well, it never got changed, never got amended, never got talked about. So we've been flying blindly all this year. We've been moving money from here to there, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm tired of it. And if this is my last day of doing it, I'm at least going to say, we got to stop this. Let's have a plan. The city needs to have a plan. I hope whoever sits in this seat, well, you know who it is, but we hope when they sit that they'll come and make sure we hold to a plan. You know, we shouldn't be moving stuff around all the time. Yes, I know budgets happen, and we have, in the family budget, we do have to move money around. Yeah, but we had a plan and something happened. But let's not make this an everyday occurrence. And unfortunately, it seems to me for the last 5 months or so, this has been every meeting we've had has been, okay, we got to move this over here. We got to fix this over here. We need to start now. Fix this.
Alderman Frisbee, thank you. Alderman Frost.
Well, I was certainly hoping that my last meeting would be a smoother one. But addressing the issue, I agree with Alderman Stamper on his comments of consistency and what we need to do. But also, I've seen over the years, at least the 24 years I've been here, there's always been a need that we have to move things around. Sometimes we have to rob Paul to pay Peter. All of us, I'm sure, remember when we had to do tax anticipation notes. The fact is this, when I sat on the Public Safety Committee, when the fire hall we voted to just bring the fire hall down and build a new one, everybody was on an upbeat and everybody knew the challenges that would be ahead of us. And sometimes those challenges become more difficult, and in this case they have. Now, just looking at the facts, and it is what it is. We've got firefighters living in makeshift quarters in the Public Works building. We've got staff across town in a renovated house. We've got a fire hall that should have been built, or should have been on its way to being built, but it's not. Not building it is not even an option, because first of all, the taxpayers would not only be suffering from the lack of response time, not just to Ward 3, but wherever, if there's a catastrophic event in the city, all of our engines respond. But also ISO ratings. That's money out of taxpayers' pockets through insurance. Situation is, capital projects had a meeting, series of meetings. Thought processes took place. Public Works Director made a proposal. He's the only one who has, his department has the capability, from where I see it, to be able to do that, to move money around. And It was a viable, as Ms. Cunningham said, it's uglier. It's just plain ugly. But when you get backed into a corner, sometimes you've got to make a decision that is not very nice, not very pretty, but you've got to look at the big picture, and the big picture in this instance is, what do we need to do to safeguard the citizens, to get our firefighters where they need to be? And I'm going to support it. It's not pretty, but I'm going to support it because I don't see any other viable option. If there was another viable option, I'm sure the capital projects team would have put it out on the table. Coming up with the money that we need to come up with. It's tough. Our budget is not very pretty, but it is our budget. It is what it is, and that's what we've got to work with. So I suggest, and I will probably be speaking on the next one because everybody knows my stance on that one. I hope you look at the long term and support this. And then I know when you folks that are here and the new ones come on board, you start your budget in the next budget year, things will get straightened out. I have great faith in this body. I'm going to stop right there.
Alderman Frost, thank you. Alderman Woodcock.
Chip, could you come to the podium, please? It's been mentioned a few times that one of the options was cutting back the size or details of the project to lower the cost. Can you tell me exactly what that meant?
At the Capital Projects Committee, the architect was there at one of the, I think on the October 18th, and he mentioned it could reduce the overall cost of the project by 20 to 30%. You would probably, again, lose another 6 months while going back and reconfiguring this and then putting it out to bid and then coming back to it.
If this passes tonight, when will the fire hall be constructed?
If this passes tonight with the resolution to fund everything.
Right.
We have to have the contract signed within 20 days. They have to have something going on site within 5, is my understanding. And they have 340 days-ish. So they should be, hopefully, I would say substantially finished this time next year. On a project like this, you typically have a few little things you got to knock out at the end.
And one thing earlier you mentioned, moving money from one pot to another pot. When you move that money from pot A, what services are being cut so that it goes in pot B?
Well, that would be the supplemental paving. My review of the budget, Public Works is the only department that has, it's about as discretionary as it can get. We all know it has to go to road paving, and so we've developed that plan, and that's where it goes. But there's nothing like, we don't really have like ISO ratings, or it's where do we feel like we need to get a road fixed. We do have some liabilities, that we have to address. If a pipe fails, we have to get those things addressed. And we do try to keep everything to a minimum of potholes. But as far as, paving of roads, they fail over time.
But what I was talking about is you mentioned a certain amount would be pulled from projects that could be recoded, and then
Right.
another pot could be taken from the stormwater.
Well, a lot of times during the year, some projects, I don't know about other departments, but some of those projects may not be launched. And so if we know they're not going to be, it could be an option to come back to this board to maybe move those monies back towards supplemental paving.
But what's been already proposed will be coming from projects that necessarily would be cut so that we can build back the paving budget, as was mentioned by another alderman previously.
And Andy can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he might have mentioned Wi-Fi in the park. So there's small buckets, but, there's little things that could be considered if
I
you
guess-
look through the whole budget.
Just to get to what my point is, like, some people are pretending like we're building the paving back up with just money that's not going to cut some other project or funding mechanism somewhere else to build that number back up. We're just moving one project A and retitling it to paving.
Or a piece of equipment that I may put off purchasing another
Exactly.
year,
So it's a sacrifice no matter what we call it,
Mhm.
no matter how we move it around. All right, thank you.
Alderman Woodcock, anything else? Alderman, thank you. Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you, Mayor. This whole discussion, even last night and tonight and even months before all this, obviously, as Chairman of Public Works, this is something that's near and dear to my heart, is paving. And so it was a great concern of mine because we, as you well know, the committee looks at every single road in the city of Hendersonville and what needs to be paved and what doesn't and what we can do to get by. And when this came up last night in our Capital Projects Committee, I cautioned the committee at that time. I said, you need to, the monies that we're going to have left is really going to be thin. And then we talked about it. And I cautioned the committee, and I cautioned our Public Works Director as well, that, that's not a lot of money that we're going to have left over to do 3 to 4 months of paving. You all know how I feel about Public Works. I love Public Works. I've been on 2 committees my whole life up here on this board. One was General, and then the other one was Public Works, and that's where my heart is. Because I always can see the actual work that's being done, and I'm going like, yeah, this board or whomever sits up here has had a hand in that, and you can see the work being done. And so, I know y'all are going to laugh at this, but if you do your job up here, which you should, there's some nights that you have some hard sleeps on, that you're wondering where, oh my God, where is, so, you start thinking about the specific roads that you need to, in Public Works need to be resurfaced. But here's what I have come to kind of think about this. We are at a crossroads in this city, and this is one that this board has eloquently, all of us, whoever has fallen on both sides, has dealt with it properly. We might get up here and fuss and fight, but we're just like a family. Name me one family in this world that has never fought and fight, and then we go do our thing, and then we come back and we work it out. I see this project the same way, and here's why I want to say, and I'm going to say this, and I appreciate the board's indulgence on this, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about it. But Public Works, I'm very proud of, and when it has become, when there was paving and we were criticized about it, and we didn't say anything, we just kept our nose to the grind and just kept doing our work. And you know what? We paved more because of this board's insight and vision and people's and the discussion like we're having tonight. We paved more roads in this city than we ever have. We got money, but actually it's kind of a wash in terms of less money. We wish we would have had more money, but we didn't. We paved more roads. Then when Drake's Creek came about, they said to Public Works, or they said to the committee, there's no way you're going to be able to find money. The Public Works Committee went in there and said, well, let's just take a look at this. Let's not get irrational about it. Let's not get all, what somebody said, the panty things in the water or whatever. I don't use that kind of language, but...
We got to quit doing that.
Yeah. I'm a little more colorful sometimes in my verbiage, but not up here. But anyway, they looked at us, and we were able to find that, not only for Drake's Creek. We were able to do that. We were able to do Anderson. We were able to do other long projects in this ward because you let the Public Works Committee you allowed, and I'm talking about the board when I say you, all of us, mayor and board of aldermen, you allowed us to do our job. You allowed Public Works, even though we had some bumps in the road, but to do their job. And you know what? We came out smelling pretty good. We were smelling like a rose on a lot of these projects. And a lot of our constituency were happy. Now, some of them weren't. Some of them said, well, you know, it wasn't as good as what we wanted, but we still like it. And that's okay, because listen, we work for you guys. That's the way that I see it. So if we can do the best that we can, and I think that we have in Public Works, we can come over this. Now, one thing I've always said about Hendersonville, and this is one place that's the greatest place to represent and the greatest place to live, is we are a family up here. We're a team. That was said by our fire chief last night, and it resonated with me, because we are a team in this business up here, and we're a family when it deals with our people out in Hendersonville. So we always want what's best for the team. We want what's best for Hendersonville. And I don't know of any alderman. The only problem that we've always had on this board, and this is just the way government is, it's just how to get there. Everybody wants that goal, wants that old apple up there, but we just have, there's sometimes 13 different ways to get there, and we try to get a consensus to get there without the less hurt. One thing I've always said in local government, as far as I firmly believe, you get people's garbage taken up, you give them adequate police and fire protection, you keep taxes as low as possible. That doesn't mean that you're going to have no taxes forever, but you're going to keep those taxes as low as possible, where there's no hurt on people. And you keep the roads paved. Those are the four, I think, the most instrumental things that local government can do for its constituency. Just those things. Streets, garbage, fire and police protection, and paving. That's it. If you accomplish 100%, we do all that, then we're doing excellent. Because I don't know of a lot of cities that can even attain that. But we continue to strive to do those. I'm not saying we've done it for everything. I think some of the, the police department, for example, I'm getting concerned about their vehicles. We're going to have to address that sooner or later. I'm concerned about it. And then I'm concerned, so this brings me to my point on the fire hall. I've heard some eloquent speeches tonight from both sides of the aisle on this, on why we should or should not support it. And I've heard some impassioned speeches, and I agree. I agree with all of them, actually. Everyone's got a great point. But here's our deal. We've got a fire hall that helps everybody, not in just one, and I know that Alderwoman Cunningham, my colleague from 3, and has mentioned it just for 3, and I respect that, because that sounds just, I was sitting here thinking, I said, man, that sounds like me, because that's what I probably would have said too. But our fire hall really, when our employees, it helps everybody, not only in Hendersonville, but when there's a problem out into the county, they've got to go too sometimes when they're called to go in. So I sort of look at the fire and the police a little different than I do most public works and other road department and things like that, because in our city, I've always said our houses are our home, our kingdom, our castle. And without that, when there's something happens and we don't get there in time to save that castle, we're doing a disservice here. We got to, go back to the fire department and say, hey, look, is it us? Do you need more help? Do you need more support? And if that's the case, what can we do to help you do your job to save our city? So I look at this, when we discussed it in closing, I'm going to close it right quick. When we looked at this project, I had an idea that it was going to come back to Public Works, because we've like I said, I'm very proud of Public Works. We have saved a lot of money over the years in a lot of projects. And we've come in under budget with some, there are some that we've went over, but not very few. Very few we have. But we've always done well with budgeting our money. I don't know with the money, my personal feeling is we're going to have, I don't know what, so let's just say 700,000 or $1 million or something like that for 3 or 4 months. My concern is when we do have a hard, and I said this in the committee, when we do have a hard winter, and I've got a feeling this one's going to be one, I've just got a gut feeling. The deer are telling me that, and the ducks, no, I'm just teasing. I wanted to just throw that in there for a little humor, so I get a little serious here. But, and I'll back to the point. Our roads are going to suffer. So it's important that we at least do something with the roads. So, you know, we keep talking about it's going to only be 3 or 4 months, you know, and oh, we can make that, we can make that. Maybe yes, maybe no. But I want to let the people know and this board know that's an uncertain thing that we're looking at. We can hope that that will be the case. I have suspicion that our past work that we've done for the past 4 or 5 years at least in this city in Public Works will be able to make it. We're going to be okay. But what we'll do, and I want the people to know this, is if this vote passes tonight, that just because that supplemental paving is going to go down, don't think that we are not going to pave roads in the city of Hendersonville. We will pave roads. It just may not be the long ones that cost the most. We might have to go into the courts or the cul-de-sacs or the small streets that need to be resurfaced. We will still be on with our road project. It just won't be those long roads that desperately need to be resurfaced. And we'll have to come back and hit those at our next, when our money starts coming in the budget. We've got to take care of each other up here in this city because no one department can do it alone right now. We're at this crossroads where we've got to help each other. We've done this before on this board. When we didn't agree, we came together in a consensus and voted, and even if it was a close vote, we walked off this board united saying we're still going to help the people of Hendersonville. We just didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go, but we're still going to join in and try to do this. So what I say is this. We need to support the Capital Project Committee's recommendation. I may not agree with it, but I support it. Because that's the only answer we've got left. It's the only viable solution or option that has been placed before us. I wish we had more money, but it just sometimes it works that way that we don't. So I would encourage the adoption of this. As Chairman of Public Works, I can assure this board when you come to me or the aldermen come to me and say, Skidmore, we've got a road over here in our ward you need to go look at. I'll be right there looking at it. I'll go to Chip and say, man, we got to figure out a way to get this thing done because that road's in bad shape. And we'll continue to do that kind of work. So I encourage, again, the adoption of this, and we will continue to work on roads, but more importantly, we will be on course to build the fire hall for our men where they don't have to sleep in the road department anymore and they don't have to park the trucks out there where it needs to be. And I think that if the citizens of Hendersonville realized the situation that those firemen were in, they would be going, oh my Lord, you got to build this fire hall. Because, and then in closing, it's not just because it's the administration building, it's all of the fire hall. So I'm going to close with that, and I encourage the passage. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Sprouse.
Mayor, I've already spoken once. I'll defer to anyone who's not spoken the first time, including you.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Words are important to me. And one word I use a lot is we in discussing decisions this board makes. There are times that I'll be in a minority of a decision, and a month later, a year later, someone will ask me about what the board did, and I'll say, we decided to do this, even if I still didn't agree with it. And I will work in any way I can, regardless of how we got in the situation, to manage the situation best we can. I apologize if it was offensive in any way that I gave the history about this project and the way we were working in capital projects. But I'm proud of that work that we did, and that we scheduled 4 meetings in less than a month, had 3 of those meetings, had a great diversity of opinion. Staff was at the table every time, not just one department, but 3 to 4 departments sometimes, working with us on what the solution is. And in each one of those meetings, we asked the Chief Executive Officer of this city for his input. And I will ask for that again. I always want to know the opinion and the attitude of every member of this board, even if I'm a little late to a meeting. It may not have been 20 minutes. I apologize for that. When I committed to a 5 o'clock meeting, I did not realize that a few days later that I would have a business commitment that kept me somewhere until 5 o'clock. I will also say that one of the first things that was told to me was what the mayor's presentation was. Chairman told me what that was. I asked the mayor if that was a fair representation, and he said it was. So if anyone has a problem with that, I'm sorry, but that's just the reality of life. But let's talk about the issue, because everything I've talked about, how we got into this situation and how we're managing this situation, relates to the issue, and everything I've said has been true. When I've been proud, I've been proud. When I've been frustrated, I've been frustrated, and I've seen the look in your face that y'all have had the same reaction. But let's talk about where we are right now. First fire hall in Hendersonville is on Luna Lane. It's in Ward 2. Now, when you think about it, when did the city say they needed the second fire hall? It was when they put on Freehill Road. That speaks a lot to the need of that area, because they cited a fire hall on Freehill Road before Mansker Farms was developed. So any need that they needed now has just been compounded many times over. We have to have a solution. We have to have it soon. We had a storm very recently. Do you realize that the people who would be first responding to my home, if my home was destroyed in a storm, spent that night sleeping in a sheet metal building? I've worked in a sheet metal building on the top of a hill. I've gotten the tornado warnings when they've come and said, get under something heavy. And I looked around the cube farm and realized the only thing heavy in the room was me. We have to do something. We have to fix it. I am open. This is the decision right now. There is no second reading. We make the decision right now. This is the best of ugly decisions. If someone has a better looking decision, better looking opinion, option, bring it to the table now. Because after we vote tonight, whether I vote yes or no, tomorrow morning I'm going to say, we decided to do this, and this is how we're going to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Sprouse. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor, and I won't belabor the point, but I do want to say that having attended a lot of the capital projects meetings, and I'm not going to speak about the whole history of this project going back to when we were in our budget of July 2017. You guys can pull the tapes and look at it yourself for the history of that. But no one up here wants to move funding from paving. I know I don't. Ward 1 gets criticized quite a bit about our paving status. But to reiterate what some of the other aldermen have said, I've heard words like consensus building, teammanship, better ideas. If anyone does have a better idea, I want to hear it now. If you're going to not support this, I want to know what your idea is to make this building happen. If the building is delayed again, if the building is cut, we could get less for more. We're in a pretty decent economy right now, and every month that we wait, just go ahead and add $100,000. That's where we're at. So in the spirit of teammanship and consensus building, if you're not going to support this, and I'm not saying this to be silly or rude or too hard on somebody, I want to know what your idea is. I'm going to be supporting this despite the brutal amount of attacks I'll get for it. I'm fine with that. Public safety is number one. So if you vote no, I want to know why.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Capital Projects Committee Chairman, and having the joy of sitting through these meetings and over these meetings that we've had discussing Fire Hall number 2, I would concur with Alderman Petrelli regarding the safety of our citizens is my number one concern as Capital Projects Committee Chairman. In my opinion, the $3.6 million for this fire hall is a must. We need to move forward. Like she said, $100,000 a month every time we wait. And if we put it off another 6 months, well, your 20% savings just got cut half in two. So you really don't have any savings there. So looking at that and having asked for leadership with guidance on where can we find additional funds, where can we move at, and how do you want to move forward with this particular project, I would ask everyone to please support this project. Let's move it forward. It's not the best looking situation to be in, but I can cite several issues throughout this past year that have caused us to, our alderman from, senior alderman from Ward 6 down there pointed out earlier regarding our budget issues and funding of our city's finances. It's why we're at right this moment. So I would just ask everyone to please vote yes for this project. Thank you.
Alderman Campbell, thank you. Alderman Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. Scott, would you come to the podium, please? I'll only take a minute because I know it's... You could go faster than that. Come on. First, I'm going to say my profession has always been insurance. Homeowners, commercial. I know ISO ratings when it comes to insurance. I know what it means. And I know, listen to Alderman Cunningham, Alderman Freeze over in Ward 3. I know what it means to them. I've got friends over in Durham Farms. I know what it means to them. But what I want to ask you, what kind of time are we looking at? Let's say right now, God forbid, you had to go to Durham Farms or Massacre Farms. Give me an idea of the time element. And in doing so, down the road, how's this going to affect our ISO insurance ratings? Can you do that for me?
Sure, yes, sir. I mean, it'll take me a couple of minutes because obviously I've got plenty of time if you folks do.
You got 5 minutes.
So with Station 3, with Ward 3 and Station 2, the backside of Massacre Farms, you're looking 8.5, 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
From Station 5 to Fountain Brook, Autumn Creek, Durham Farms, again, heavily populated areas, 8.5, 9 minutes. As I referred to a couple of meetings ago, I had my neighbor collapse with his daughter there, and I did CPR myself with some neighbors, which, God bless them, for over 8 minutes before anybody got there. And then, of course, the other night, election night, we had a fire, Cage's Bend, off South Dames Avenue. And that was at 6:30 at night, and it took us 8.5 minutes to get there. We've got 3 areas of concern, and I don't have the solution for it. I mean, it takes money. But I can tell you this. I can show you examples. We had a fire with a lightning strike. I know you folks saw that in the newspaper, right down from Station 3. Caught it on a doorbell camera. 4 minutes. Same type fire that we just had on South Dames Avenue. And my staff went in there and busted their humps and saved that house. You double that time, which just happened last Tuesday night, and it's $1 million loss. $1 million, not to mention the personal things that that family lost. that happens at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're probably going to be talking about people. And that's my concern.
Okay, follow up with the ISO, because I'm passionate about the ISO ratings. I've lived in. So, will it affect us, the city, if we do nothing? If we don't touch that fire hall over there, will the ISO rating affect us down the road?
With not building Station 2?
Yeah.
It's a good, strong possibility. Now, I will say this. I mean, I'm pretty open, and I don't mislead anyone.
But I want you to. I want you to tell me.
You won't have to worry about ISO for a couple of years.
That's right.
But when they come back and they collect data for 5, 6, 7 years, and your data is skewed, you can expect that ISO rating to go back up. Now, my drive, as I've been saying from day one since I've been here, is to push for us to go to a 2. We're working towards that. It's a process. When I feel like we can and speak with the mayor and public safety, then we can call them back. I'm not calling them in right now.
No.
Because what they'll do is they'll take every working incident that we have, fires, and they'll average those response times. And when you have skewed times, 8.5, 9 minutes for working incidents, you're violating NFPA recommendations. It's dangerous to my staff. It's dangerous to people in their homes. And my job is to protect people. And those things, again, as you know, you can't erase that stuff. If I went to anybody, I don't care who they are, I don't care if I know them, don't know them, it's stuff in your mind and you'll never get rid of. And you're exposing my staff to that stuff. And I get it, it's money, I understand that, I'm not fussing at anybody. It's hard stuff, but it will affect your ISO rating, bottom line.
Okay, thank you, Scotty. I know we're between a rock and a hard place. It's either paving or building a fire hall to save lives and save property. And I encourage my colleagues on this board to vote for this ordinance tonight, because it's a no-win situation. I don't see how we do anything else. We can't keep going like we are. Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate that. Chief Bush, real quick, help me out. I think one of the questions we're sort of getting to and didn't quite get there is, have our response times suffered since our firefighters have been where they are now?
No, sir, because, again, that was something I came to you about.
Yeah.
We had 2 options when we tore Station 2 down. We can move 1,000 feet up the street in a 2-bedroom metal building, which, again, we built it. Chip was gracious enough to share it with us. We've been there for 16, 18 months. My staff's handling it well. I'm keeping a real close eye on that for the simple fact of we're invading their property, and he doesn't care. Their staff doesn't care, but they're not running out of a fire hall. And it's hard for 1/3 of my folks to see the other 2/3 run out of fire stations. To have the facilities that they do, they don't have shower facilities. Let's talk about cancer. Let's talk about washing their turnout gear. Let's talk about all the stuff that I want to talk about that we're working to try to decrease. Getting the washing machines through the grants. Let's talk about the stuff that's really important, and that's my people. And the people that we protect. So no, our response times are not affected.
Okay, I appreciate
because
that.
we had the option of doing that or going to Station 5 with an engine company and moving a truck company to Station 6. And if we did that from Station 5 to the back of Mansker Farms, was going to be 10, 11 minutes.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be really brief. The primary purpose of government is for the safety and security of its citizens. This is the safety and security of the citizens, especially Ward 3, who I represent. Not only 700 plus homes in Mansker Farms and all the surrounding areas, there's another 329 homes that are about to be built there. And like Scotty said, the back part of Mansker Farms has the highest response rates in the whole city. And the morale of those people living in an attic? Are you kidding me? We're we're a city of almost 60,000 people here and have over a $50 million budget, and we're asking our people that risk their lives for us and for our security and safety to live in an attic. It's unacceptable. And I beg my colleagues to support this. Thank you.
Alderman Cunningham, thank you. Alderman Stamper.
Thank you, Mayor. I felt challenged a little bit by a previous alderman who said, if you don't like this, come up with a plan. I've got one. But again, it would involve a commitment. And I won't ask for a show of hands or a straw poll or have 7 people jump in queue that are going to be on the board after the next meeting that have the ability to vote on it. But I would be supportive of this if there was a commitment for this board to put $4.4 million in paving in 2020, FY 2020, start 7/1/19. If I felt like there was a commitment to put the extra 1.4 back in and get us back on track, I have concerns that we'll get up to $3 million next year, even passing this, which sounds like it's going to pass, and that's fine, and we need it. We also need to pave our roads. So the answer's staring us in the face, and y'all are going to have to come to the table and take care of it. Starting July 1, 2019, there needs to be a proper amount budgeted for paving. Now, I haven't heard many other options, maybe scaling it down some, whatnot. I'm loath to pull out of paving. It does sound like this is the best of the horrible situations, but there's a chance to redeem this going forward. Ham and Paul and I will be watching from the other side what you guys are going to do. I'll join, the Vice Mayor, Senior Alderman from Ward 5, and his sentiments about the faith that I have in this board. I have faith in this board. Both all of y'all that have been on it for decades, months, negative 2 weeks. I have faith in this board that's going to be here to make these difficult decisions next year. And one thing that I agree with the Senior Alderman from Ward 3 and her passion, there's no doubt. I mean, nobody's questioning. Nobody wants to pull from paving. Nobody wants to not see this fire hall built. And we have an answer. And I pray that that you as a board will have the strength to do what it takes despite what naturally comes when you make hard decisions. So I think the money's there to do the things that we need to do as a city. We got to do them, but I mean, I don't have another solution. So to the junior alderman from Ward 1, I guess I've got to vote yes on this, even though I don't. It stinks to high heaven. But y'all know what needs to get done. Do it next year. Tax increase, as Mo Taylor always said.
Alderman Bolt?
I'm sorry. I'm good.
No problem, no problem. I appreciate that. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-60, please signify by saying aye when Kay calls your name. All those opposed, please say no when Kay calls your name.
Bolt? Mayor, I'd like to ask that we vote in reverse. Can I do that?
Sure.
Okay. I get to vote first all the time.
By the way, let me say something a little bit about that. Is after the election, we're gonna learn how to use these things, and so all vote simultaneously at that point. Yeah. Here's what I'll do. I'll lead off. Typically, I'm last. I'll vote no. Do you want to vote next, or do you want to vote last?
No, I want to vote last.
Okay. Well, then we'll go backward in this case.
Yours is no.
Okay.
Woodcock? Waters? Stamper?
Yes.
Sprouse? Skidmore? Petrelli? Frost?
Yes.
Frisbee?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Definitely
Yes. Campbell,
100% yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Bolt.
Yes.
That passes 11-2. Next, we have Resolution 2018-61. This is another one that was set at your desk. It's a resolution authorizing the transfer of $40,000 from the fire department budget to the police horsebound project. Alderman Brown.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Alderman Brown.
I will speak to this one quickly. Everybody said quickly, nobody spoke quickly. I'll try. We've been on the horse barn now for some 3+ years. We bid it came back extremely high. We sent specs back out to cut some of the frills or the nicenesses out of the horse barn, hoping later that we would be able to add that through fundraisers or grants. And I do want to talk about grants. I think that's important. Once this barn gets coming out of the ground, I believe there is money out there to be had. Once folks see something happening, they want to be a part of it. There's those folks that love our four-legged critters that gladly donate money to things like this. So that being said, we want to get our police officers on our property and under our roof. Our bids come back in at $126,611. We have $89,992. Fire chief last night on our capital projects meeting spoke up and said that he would like to be considered on giving $40,000 out of the fire department line item budget that's already been approved. This is not new money. This money's there. On some computers that he could use. He doesn't necessarily have to have them this budget year. They can get by with what they have for a while longer. And first of all, I'd like to thank Fire Chief Bush for being a team player. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Alderman Brown. Alderman Frost.
Thank you, Mayor. That's what I was going to say.
Go ahead and say it. Sounds good, man.
I'm really, Chief Bush, thanks. It's an absolute pleasure to see team playing. A lot of folks know how close the horse barn is to me. It's like Public Safety Chairman said. We've got to get our mounted patrol under their own roof in their own house. They're a viable part of the department, and it's only right that they have a stable place, no pun intended. But I tip my hat to Chief Bush. I really appreciate that, and I hope my colleagues will go along with this. And I appreciate the time, Mayor. Thank you.
Alderman Frost, thank you. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-61, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. We had a no down there. Alderman Woodcock, myself. That passes 11-2. Next we have Resolution 2018-58, another one that was set on your desk. This is a resolution to the Tennessee General Assembly requesting legislation to address issues regarding blasting. Alderman Woodcock. You have a motion and a second. Give it a second. Who is the second? Alderman Waters or Alderman Brown? Arlene, if you got it. 2018-58. We're going to put that, yeah. Okay. Alderman Woodcock.
I just want to say a quick comment. Alderman-elect Jonathan Hayes, I told him he could be a sponsor of this because I did not know the timing when this would go so fast, so I wanted to publicly apologize to him for not allowing him to be a sponsor. But thank you guys for rushing this through. We need it done tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Woodcock. Alderman Frost.
I'll speak after the vote if you don't mind on this. On the blasting issue, isn't that what we're discussing?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't going to speak on that. I was waiting until after that.
Oh, we still have one more item after. I was confused. Okay.
I am.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 2018-58, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no.
No.
Who's our noes? Alderman Cunningham
Yep.
and Alderman Petrelli. Anybody else? That passes 11-2. Next, we have item I. We're going to go back up. We deferred item I. This is Resolution 2018-51. This is a resolution to award the bid for Fire Hall Number 2 to the lowest qualified bidder, Boger Construction. Alderman Sprouse?
I'm just going to ask one last time. This is the last time we're touching this.
Hold on. We need a motion.
Oh, move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Alderman Brown or Campbell, do you wish to speak on it? Alderman Sprouse?
I'm just going to ask one last time. I'm getting a little weird feedback. I'm going to turn off the mic and turn it back on.
Not really. Let me turn you down a little bit, and
Okay, we're good. Getting a little bit. This is it. I've asked in 3 committee meetings. I've asked previously tonight. If the chair of this board has a different idea, let us know. Let me know. I'll be quick to second it. But we have to come up with something. A month ago, looked at the scaling down the project, which was basically what if we didn't build the administration portion. And that was explained to me why timing would hurt that and cost and things like that. But if there's a better idea, this is the time. And I'll say the same thing I said last night. I'm concerned that by stepping away from the decision, anyone who steps away from the decision may then come back and criticize us for making it. And I just want to make sure that we don't, if there's an honest disagreement, there is an honest disagreement. But if there's a different idea, put it forward. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Speak real quick here. Excuse me, Alderman Bolt.
I guess I'd reiterate what Alderman Petrelli said earlier relative to, and what Alderman Sprouse just said. It's easy to vote no, but I'd like to hear ideas of what are the other alternatives. Because on a number of different types of votes, I hear no, but I don't hear the opinion about what the options are relative to some other solution. So I'd like to hear that.
Thank you, Alderman Bolt. Myself and there are a couple other folks that voted against, actually 6 folks that voted against the person of the Beatty property. After that decision was made, I looked at it as I have to do what the will of the board is at that point. I didn't like that decision. I voted against that decision. But at that point, for me to not do the will of the board would have put us in greater liability. So having done what we did just a few minutes ago, that we funded this and the board decided that, it doesn't matter that I disagreed with that. At this point, I have to sign that contract. And that's what I intend to do. I don't think this resolution is necessary at this point, but I'm happy to vote for it. So, all those in favor of, where are we, Resolution 2018-51, I believe that's the right one, of 2051, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Alderman Frost, you have a very long motion to adjourn.
Can you give me 30 seconds before I make that motion?
You're working on the motion right now. Go ahead.
I just want to tell, while you're all here, and I'll bring up some on the 27th when I depart. But I just want you all to know it's been a pleasure working with each and every one of you. Don't always agree. Have differences of opinion. Differences of opinion are very good because it brings out new ideas. I've enjoyed my 24 years here. But of all the boards that I've served on, there were some very contentious boards. And Mr. Skidmore remembers what I'm talking about. I've enjoyed this one probably the most. It seems as though there's a few of us that, and I'm one of them, that can get a little bent out of shape sometimes. But it's been a pleasure not only knowing you, but working with you. And what I said a while ago, I mean every word of it. No matter what happens, the city's going to be fine. The city's going to be okay. And this board, I have complete faith in. Move to adjourn.
Alderman Frost, motion to adjourn. In a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all.